When you don't get enough food, you get low energy availability. And if that goes on for a long period of time, or it becomes problematic, you get relative energy deficiency in sport, which is called RED-S. Kind of like if you think of your phone and it goes on low power mode, trying to conserve energy to make it last longer. So that's kind of what happens to your body as well. And that's the thing, what will work well for one person might not work for another. There might be someone else who'd be like, oh, I love having my oats.
Yeah,
so we don't want them to not have oats. And it's important to fuel because you want to make sure that you get a good quality training session, right? So you can stay on technique, that you're not getting too fatigued too early. And there's also research out there that shows it can have like impacts on your mood and cognitive function, your strength.
Is there any things that you should look out for when athletes aren't eating enough? Is there any ways that you can know? What would you normally be feeling if you weren't?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, it can vary between people. One could be that
starting rowing at a young age, I didn't really understand the importance of nutrition and how it helped fuel me for not only my training, but my daily life. So here I'm with Julia today to talk about the importance of nutrition and fueling, especially as young females. I'm Kate Stewart and welcome to the podcast. Welcome, Julia. What got you into nutrition and why did you choose a career?
So I love sport, so that's to start with. But I was always fascinated at just like the human body and how it moves and how it can be pushed to its limits. And then when I was at university, I realised the integration between nutrition, what you put in your body, and how that helps with that training and those performances. And it works really, really well together. So I got really interested in that, and I wanted to work with in high performance sport, again, I suppose because of the love of sport and helping people to, reach their goals, see their potential as well. So yeah, that's why I kind of got into it. And it's also, I get to work with people, and when you get help them be the best that they can be, and when they get it and they click, so it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, what is your role at high performance sport?
So I'm a senior performance nutritionist at High Performance Sport New Zealand, and as part of that role, I'm the lead nutritionist for Rowing New Zealand. So I help support the elite team with their fueling and nutrition during their trainings and help them prepare for their regattas as well.
If you had to sum up nutrition, what are the key components that you would like young rowers to know?
I think nutrition is so important for young rowers, just their health, their well-being and their performance. So as a young rower, you're growing as well as a person, so you want to make sure that your body gets as strong, as healthy as it can be. So to do that, they need to be fueling enough, and that's really important, and eating a wide variety of foods as well. But also remembering that food is not just for training and for sport, it's for making sure to help you through school and for those social connections, and it's more than that as well.
What is an example of what you'd want your fueling to look like if you were training both in the morning and then after, say, a day at school or a day at work, and then training again in the afternoon? What do you kind of want to focus on? Yeah,
so a good training nutrition pattern, I suppose, would be to make sure that you're having something before your training session in the mornings. So having some form of breakfast is really important. We want to make sure then that they're having something during training as well. And then important to recover well from it, particularly if you're going straight to school or work afterwards. Yep. You're recovering not just from the training you've done, but you also have to fuel for what you've got next as well, in terms of trying to concentrate for what you've got coming up. And then before your afternoon session, you want to make sure that you're having a pre-training snack of some sort. Ideally, you would have had lunch as well to make sure that you're continuing to eat throughout the day. And similar, make sure that you're fueling during the afternoon session, depending on what it is. And then recovering and having your dinner afterwards. And if it's been a big training day, maybe some dessert.
So there's a lot of things out there on Instagram and wherever you look that there's a difference between supplementing protein and having natural protein. What is your take on that? And is there something you should be doing or changing? Or because I know that after your session you should be kind of focusing on protein, or you should definitely be having protein after rowing. What would you recommend there?
Yeah, so we always encourage a food first approach when it comes to your recovery and your fueling as well. So with protein supplements, they can have a place in terms of being convenient. But you also don't get all the other nutrients that you might get if you have it from a food source. So most protein supplements come from whey. There are also plant-based protein supplements as well, but that's just one source of food. You can get protein from eggs, from meat, beef, from chicken as well, and you're often also having it with other types of foods, so cereals or breads or pasta as well, and like salads too. So you're getting more of a balanced approach when you're having your protein source from a food rather than from a supplement.
Yeah, because I know like we often go for like up and go straight after training. It's like, it's good, like it's great to have that like straight away, those carbs and protein.
Yeah, because you're getting both, so
Yeah.
which is important.
Yeah, but then go home and have some eggs on toast or something that's actually like a whole food or that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we often say with recovery off the water, you want to have something small and then having kind of like your second breakfast a bit later on.
What is the best way to fuel for an early morning session? I know we get up, like lots of rowers get up really early, and sometimes it's hard to like get up and eat straight away. Like what do you recommend? What do you want to eat before?
Yeah, so before training, it's about filling up your fuel tank with high carbohydrate foods, and you want those foods to be easy to digest. So generally you're thinking lower fiber, so more like say your white bread or bagels as an example as well. So it's something that's easy spread, so probably more like your honey or your jam over say like your peanut butter. Marmite's another good option as well if you want something a bit more savoury too. And then other options might be, because if you don't have a lot of time before, getting up to training, sleep's important. Having liquids could be another option. So sometimes you could make a smoothie, you could make that the night before. So that's the prep work done as well. You don't have to get up early to do it that morning of, or even taking some flavoured milk and a banana is another example of just something that you can have before you start your training session.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It is hard. Like I know went through a phase and I was like, I'm going to have oats before. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't get them down every morning. I feel like this is not good.
And that's the thing, what will work well for one person might not work for another. There might be someone else who'd be like, oh, I love having my oats.
Yeah,
so
I can't wait for my oats in the morning. Yeah. So last Saturday we went out for like a 30k row, which is like a long way, right? And it's not normal. I haven't done that before. But like I noticed we were in a night and I looked around, like not many people have this. Some people had a few lollies, some people maybe had Rara in their bottle, but I was like, I really need to focus. Like that's a long time to be out there. There's a lot of carbs. So I took like lollies, a 1 square meal, and these bliss balls. They weren't that good. I probably won't take them again, but and some Rara. And I was like, how can we like, what do you recommend? What's easiest? Because like we might be rowing for 2 hours, but they, like school age kids, you normally only row for an hour, hour and a half. What would you recommend for either of those trainings? What's like the basis? Where would you start? Yeah,
so what you take out will be quite similar. The difference would be on how much you need compared to a 1 hour row to a 2 hour or more row as well. So again, to fuel your body while you're training, it wants to be able to access that fuel really quickly. So you want kind of high sugar foods in that moment. So things like the Rara are actually a good option. It's actually really popular with the elites here as well. They add a little bit of salt to it and put that in their bottles, and they'll have from half a sachet to a full sachet depending on the size of the bottle and how long they're going out for. So if you're only out for about an hour, half a sachet would probably do. If you're going out for longer, you probably need the full one, split maybe over a couple of bottles, so it's not too sweet.
Oh, it's so sweet.
And the other options you mentioned are good as well. So some lollies are a good option. So snakes are quite high in that sugar, like 2 snakes gives you about 20 grams or so. For about an hour row, you're aiming between 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate in total. So you can get that from some lollies or some sports drink or like a muesli bar, for example. Some people like to take out bananas. Again, it's kind of personal preference and what works for you.
They get squished and you're like, oh no, I'm not eating my brown banana now.
No, exactly. Whereas if you're going out for longer than 2 hours or 2 hours or more, then you just need to increase the amounts that you need.
Yeah, so you do need more than a bottle of Rara.
It's
not going to fuel you the whole way.
No, and it's important to fuel because you want to make sure that you get a good quality training session, right? So you can stay on technique, that you're not getting too fatigued too early as well, and it helps with making sure that your training adapts and you get faster.
Yeah, and you don't want to let your teammates down. You don't want to get tired early or give up sooner than you would normally.
Yeah, so with recovery, it's really important to make sure that you're recovering not just for the session you've done, but preparing for the one you've got next as well. So with recovery, we think about the 4 R's. So refuel with carbohydrate foods, repair with foods that contain protein, rehydrate, fluids, so mainly water, and also revitalize, which means you're still getting in that fruit and veg, making sure it's more well balanced there as well. And you wanted to have something, especially that it contains the refuel and repair. The rehydrate's really important in the summertime as well, when it's hot and you're sweating a lot, to help make sure that you're recovered and preparing for your next session.
So is there any specific challenges that female rowers face when it comes to nutrition? Is there any things that you think they need to focus on a little bit more?
Yeah, so as female athletes, we have higher requirements for iron as well, and calcium. So making sure that we're getting good sources of those types of foods in our diets is important. So for iron, it's like your animal sources would be like your red meat is an obvious example. Mussels as well are quite high in iron. And then for plant-based sources, it's like your dark green leafy veg, such as spinach, for example. And you also have some foods that have iron added to them, fortified with iron, so like Weet-Bix, for example.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and if you're having things like those types of plant-based foods or the ones like Weet-Bix where it's been added, you want to make sure that you've got a source of vitamin C as well, because it helps with the absorption of that ions. So, orange juice with your Weet-Bix in the morning is an example. So the calcium's important, particularly for young rowers, because at that age, you're kind of building we call it your peak bone mass. You're trying to build as much bone as you ever will the rest of your life. So it's important to make sure that you're getting in enough of the energy to help you form the bone, but also enough of the calcium, which is really important. It's the main structure and your main nutrient in your bones, that your bones will be as strong as they possibly can, because that will then reduce your risk of injury going forward.
Yeah, because you do see like a lot of bone stress kind of injuries in rowers, especially because there's such high volumes of training.
Exactly. So it's important to make sure that you're having good sources of calcium, whether that's from your dairy, so like your milk, yogurts, cheese as well. Tofu is another one from a plant-based point of view, just included in your diet to make sure that you're getting those good calcium sources.
Is there any things that you should look out for when athletes aren't eating enough? Is there any ways that you can know? What would you normally be feeling if you weren't up to it or weren't fueling your body enough post-training?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, it can vary between people. One could be that you're just feeling really tired all the time, even though, say, you're getting a good night's sleep, as an example.
Yeah.
Another one might be that you're not progressing in your training as well as you think you should be, or compared to what you've done in the past as well. Sometimes people, if they're constantly maybe getting small sniffles, sick or illnesses, they can't quite shake them or recover them from them like fully. It might be sometimes a sign that your immune system isn't working optimally, and that could be a sign that it's because you're potentially underfueling. So another one is injury as well. You gain small niggles or getting injured and not recovering properly. So it might be one of those things, or as an example.
Yeah, no, because we talk about I don't know, I find personally if I don't feel properly after training, I'm getting tired during my normal day or at 10 o'clock or when I'm about to need some more food, and it just ruins my day a little bit, if you don't feel properly. So I feel like, you always need to look out for what you can.
Yeah, exactly. And it varies between people as well. One I could add for women in particular is if you've got a regular menstrual cycle, you've got a regular period, if the length between your periods starts to stretch out or it starts to stop, that could be another sign that you're underfueling potentially as well.
Can you explain energy availability and RED-S in simple terms and why it's important?
So the food that you eat provides you with energy, and with energy availability, the idea is that when you're using the energy from your food in one system, so say with movement, when you're training, it's then not available to be used for other parts of your body. So your immune system, your reproductive system, digestive system, bone health, all of those different ones. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough fuel, enough energy from our food, not only food for the training, but also energy available then for all those other systems that keeps you healthy in your body. When you don't get enough of the energy or enough food, then you get low energy availability. And if that goes on for a long period of time or it becomes problematic, you get RED-S, which is relative energy deficiency in sport, which we term RED-S. And that's where you might see some of those potential health and performance issues come to light, such as not having your period stop it or not adapting to training. It can also affect your gut as well, and there's also research out there that shows it can have impacts on your mood and cognitive function, your strength. So when you don't get enough of that energy from your food, it's kind of like if you think of your phone and it goes on low power mode, trying to conserve energy to make it last longer. So that's kind of what happens to your body as well. So your screen brightness might not be as high, so that might mean in your body, like your bone health doesn't work as properly, or your immune system doesn't work as optimally as well. So by trying to conserve that energy, and if it goes on for too long, that's where you can get relative energy deficiency in sport, which is called RED-S. And that is a health condition that's diagnosed by a doctor, but it's a diagnosis of elimination, because some of those health conditions, say like not getting your period or gut issues, can be caused by something else. So that's why it's important to make sure you're working with your GP or a sports doctor to determine that.
Yeah, so when we talk about energy availability, it's like you fuel yourself, but if you're only fueling for training or not getting that post-workout meal, you're like gonna just see like a decline in the feelings of all the other systems. It's kind of how you...
Yeah, in a way. And it will vary in terms of how fast you might see that for some, between different people as well. So, yeah, some people it might come out that they just get sick all the time, but it might not happen for a couple of weeks because your body has some reserves until it doesn't anymore. For others, it might be, as I said, some gut issues. So it really depends on the person and how that will show up. If they're not fueling enough.
So there's a lot of information out there about how you should fuel around your menstrual cycle, or that you should be doing different things at different points. And there's so much information. And what do you recommend in that sense? Like, I know everyone's different, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And to be honest, one that's a bit hard to answer because everyone is so different. You can speak to different girls, different women that have periods, and, you know, they might get symptoms that you don't, and the severity or how awful those symptoms are might be different as well. So the advice at the moment is to sort of track your cycle and then take note of when you might feel a bit more tired or a bit more bloated or feel a bit more pain or find it harder to recover. And then if you notice a pattern of that, that might be when you need to eat more carbohydrate at a particular time of your cycle, fuel a bit more, or it might be that you're finding yourself a bit bloated or more dehydrated, so you need to drink more water during that part of your cycle as well, or you might need a bit more time between trainings and have some more like foods that help with your recovery, maybe more fruit and veg, antioxidants, or including foods that are high in omega-3s like salmon, for example, to help with that as well. But yeah, unfortunately, we're not at the stage where we can say like 3 days before your period, you should be eating this or this, just because everyone is so different. And
no, I get that. What are the common mistakes that you see that like younger athletes tend to make when fueling for training? And is there like some simple advice you can give that would help resolve some of these?
Yeah, so I think with younger athletes and rowers in particular, that fueling before that morning training, just because it can be difficult because of the time it is, and also not fueling during trainings as well is also really important. So I think those are things that you could work to improve or start doing if you're not already. I think another one is just younger rowers tend to underestimate how much they actually need to eat to support the training that they do and to keep their bodies healthy as well, particularly if they've got a lot of friends that don't row or don't do sport. They do need to eat a lot more than them, and it can sometimes make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but then it's important, I suppose, to try and educate your friends to say, actually, I need this much to make sure I'm healthy and to perform well at rowing as well. So I think that those are definitely a challenge and something that they need support with doing.
So you'd start by like focusing on a before training meal or snack or something that gives you some carbs, and then something in the boat for during.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also important to have a bit of a plan and some structure as well. When you do a lot of training or it's really hard, that can affect your appetite. You don't feel like eating, and if you wait till your appetite comes back, then you've kind of missed the window for that recovery, and you're probably going to likely underfuel for that day. So it's important to, even though you might not feel like it, still have that plan and make sure you're prepared and have your before, during, and after training snacks.
Yeah, we talked about it. I like struggle the most. Like I'm always ready for the morning training and I'll have something in the boat. But it's like when I get home after training and I've got to go somewhere quickly or go off to work, and then I'm there like, I don't have time to cook eggs. What am I going to eat? But no, it is super important that you focus on all three.
Yeah.
There.
And sometimes, life happens and you get busy. So I always like to talk about athletes having like backup options that they can take with them on the go or that are really easy to make. So, pre-training, an easy one might be you're having some fruit toast, for example. Just got to pop that in the toaster and you can actually have it in the car on your way down. You mentioned Up and Goes before. That's an easy one, or any flavoured milk as well for like on recovery. Again, you can take it with you too. So just those types of options to have on hand are really important as well.
Yeah. Are there any resources or places people can go if they're interested in what they should be doing nutrition-wise or looking for some advice? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so at High Performance Sport New Zealand, we've developed some resources on fueling for before, during and after training, and also on energy availability as well, which we're going to be able to put on Rowing Hub and also available on the High Performance Sport New Zealand website too.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool.